Hi everyone. The unit we'll be doing today is Unit 6, which is Personal and Professional Development in Health and Social Care. And my name is Shazia Khan, and I'd just like to welcome you to the session today. The unit aim is to, are you all on the right unit first? It's Professional Development, Health and Social Care. Is everyone on the right one?
Yeah.
Yes, excellent. Thank you. Because some students tend to come on to units and they're not on the right one. So just make sure you're on the right one. So the unit aim is to develop your skills and knowledge required to plan and implement your own personal and professional development for further study or work in the health and social care sector, and looking at any sort of future reflective practice. When we talk about reflective practice, what is reflective practice? What do you think? What's reflection?
Reflection is based on what we have been practicing in our
Yes.
field of engagement.
And do you think reflecting on your work is a good thing?
It's good. It's
Yes.
very good.
Yeah. So the unit level is level 3, and the unit code is there as well. So when it comes to your assignment and you're putting your unit code is there. It's T6184172. And the grading structure on this unit for the assignment is a pass, merit, distinction. So, and in order to complete this unit, you must produce work which demonstrates the learning outcomes. So you've got the learning outcomes there. There's 4 learning outcomes and an assignment discussion session. So you've got 1 learning outcome today, 1 tomorrow, and then next week. So the first learning outcome is to understand career and progression opportunities in health and social care. And that's looking at how you can progress. So if you come in as a supervisor, how you could progress to a manager, how you could progress your roles and your careers within the social care sector. Then your second learning outcome is to understand professional development in health and social care. And your third learning outcome is to understand how reflective practice supports personal and professional development. And your final learning outcome is to understand how to plan your own personal and professional development in health and social care. Things like, the SMART targets, how to identify any sort of development skills, the stages of your own personal development and professional development, your own personal development plan. So these are what we're going to be going through. So we'll be looking at each learning outcome as it goes and go through what is expected of you, okay? Has anyone got any questions on the learning outcomes at the moment? No? So now I'm just going to carry on with the slides, okay? So the slides, and we'll just go through, I'll just share them with you so you've got a better idea. So let's just go through the learning outcomes. Can you see the slides, everyone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's, like I said, it's Unit 6, Personal and Professional Development Unit in Health and Social Care. And the learning outcome we'll be doing is learning outcome 1 today, which is to understand career and progression opportunities in the health and social care sector, and how anyone can, apply to, develop their career further rather than just sticking to one role. The unit aim is to develop skills and knowledge required to plan and implement your own personal and professional development for further study or work in health and social care sector, and for future reflective practice, as we mentioned. The indicative content for learning outcome 1 is to look at careers within the health and social care profession. So it could be things like nurses, it could be the profession of a manager, it could be the profession of a social worker, a carer, so these kind of professions. Roles and responsibilities in health and social care. We'll look at progression opportunities, career progression, training and qualifications. We'll also look at skills and knowledge required for specific roles, qualifications and experience, and skill knowledge requirements. So firstly, when we go on to look at what personal development is, what is personal development? Anyone? Olu, can you tell me what personal development is?
Okay. Personal development is improving oneself beyond a school learning capability
Okay.
in order to be best version on the line of feed.
Okay. So that's personal development, yeah? So it refers to activities to improve yourself, like you've said, Olu, is very good. So it's to improve your talents, your potential. It could be in any aspect of your daily life. So your employability and even your wealth. You know, if you want to improve your lifestyle, you know, you want to be doing that. And is it important to have personal development in your life? Is it good? Is it is it good to have in your life, and why is it important?
Yes, it's very good to
Yeah.
improve on personal development.
Yes. And why is it so important? Victor? Victor, why do you think it's so important to think about personal development in your life?
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Oh, good morning. Oh, for me, it's always good to have personal development because as you grow in age, every man, there's nobody that is stagnant age-wise. So the more you grow, the more you must develop. Even if you don't develop yourself, something in you, which is your stature, is developing. So ability to be able to develop all capacity is better for the age you're growing into. Then you grow in wisdom and everything. So personal development is crucial because even as a man grows, everything, both his mental capacity too, is expected to grow.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, becoming the best version of yourself, you know, becoming a better person,
Becoming the
trying
best
to
person
improve your
every
skills,
time as you grow, yeah.
you know, giving yourself confidence to navigate situations, becoming a better person. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean personal development is based on your, you know, your work. It could be based on, you know, your life, daily life. You know, it could be outside your personal development as an individual. It could be also referred to, you know, your, the fact that you want to improve your aspects of your personal life. You know, you want to further your career, you want to become a more productive employee. So these are personal development. What about professional development? When we look at professional development, what do you think professional development means? Jessie, what do you think professional development is?
Improving yourself in your workplace.
Yes, in your career. Okay. So you could focus on, you know, improving yourself in your career. You know, maybe, you know, trying to improve yourself in regards to your career development. You know, it may be, you know, what could be a career development for you, Jessie, if you just give me an example? Could it be things like improving communication skills? Could it
Improving
be,
your soft skills.
yeah, yeah. It
Improving on
could
your
it,
soft skills. It can be on communication. It can be on your leadership capabilities also at the workplace.
yes, leadership capabilities, yes. What about if you want to improve yourself in regards to things like your training and things?
And that's what I say, soft skills. When we talk about the professional development, is improving on your career path as regarding what you need to do to bring about a transformation in your line of job.
So it could be improving, you know, things like maybe your, you know, the fact that you want to master some sort of new software. You know, you want to develop your leadership skills. You want to try to become, you know, more focused on your career. So it could be things like, you know, becoming, doing better, trying to improve your skills in regards to trying to go up in the ladder, you know, improve your specialist field, you know, trying to become a better person and improve your employer skills. What about CPD? When we talk about CPD, it's obviously continuous professional development. What is that important for?
CPD is a combination of personal development and
Yes.
professional development.
Excellent. Why is it so important?
It's important because it makes you to give you an edge in your career path.
Yeah. What about things like what about like does it improve your skills and knowledge as well?
Yes, that's what I said. It's a combination of the personal development. You are improving on the soft skills and you're also improving on your hard skills.
Yes, and it helps you develop as a person, doesn't it? The more CPD you have, the more development skills you'll get, the more, you're able to record these skills, document these skills and track them down. It's really important to have a document in place that identifies what CPD you've done, because if you have to move to another employer, you're able to identify that, this is documented. I've done this CPD process. It's an ongoing process to help you manage your own development. And you can reflect on that as well. You can reflect on these kind of things, and it helps you, it's an overview of your professional development. So it could be anything. You could have done, professional development on safeguarding. You could have done professional development on working with children. So it's really, really important you're able to identify your skills as well. Okay, so when we look at reflective practice, moving on, reflective practice is really important in regards to how you reflect on what you are doing. So it's the ability to reflect on one's actions and to engage in a process of continuous learning. Why do you think it's really good to have continuous learning? And that is to Elizabeth. Elizabeth. We've got Elizabeth on there. No. Ifeni, why do you think it's I don't know if I'm saying your name right. Is it Ifeni?
Yeah, you're right.
Why do you think it's so important to have reflective practice in place? Why do you think it's so important to continuously reflect on what you're doing?
Yeah, because it kind of helps you assess yourself to see if what you're doing is at standard, if you need to build yourself, if you need to upskill yourself, the areas you're doing well, the areas you think you need to put in more effort.
If we think about it in the health and social care setting, okay, how do you think it's important in the whole health and social care setting?
It's important because let's say, for example, in the health of social care, like a new staff comes in, maybe after induction, or that they undergo some trainings, they observe them, see how well they are doing in the areas they've been trained, and see the areas they need to put in more effort, to get them doing what they have to do well.
Yeah. What about if you need to improve your way, the way you work or the quality of care you give? Is that reflecting on yourself?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. And why is that so important? Because it is really important on reflecting on yourself, but also if you're in the health and social care setting, if you are doing some sort of work and the quality of your work is not good, then you want to reflect on yourself to improve yourself, don't you?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think feedback on everything we do in the field is very, very important, in as much as we want to give quality care.
Yes.
Sometimes reflective practice comes off as seeing what things that have happened in the course of discharging our duties, and analyzing it to see what we could have done differently, what would have done better, and things we're pointing out the things we did wrong, and to ensure not to do them again, and to analyze the way or better ways of doing things. I think that
For
is
example, Elizabeth, if you make a mistake, you try to figure out how to avoid making that mistake in the future.
Yeah.
So, it's really important that you reflect on some people, I will be honest, don't like reflection. Why do you think they don't like reflecting?
I think if anyone is not willing to reflect, I think they're not really ready to grow, or probably they don't even like what they do.
Yeah, they don't want to think they're doing something wrong.
Yeah, they don't want to be
They don't want
blamed.
to be accountable for
correct
their
Yeah.
actions. Yeah.
But I personally think, you know, I've been teaching for 17 years, and I personally think if I don't reflect every time I do a class, it changes, and I need to reflect on the way I teach, need to reflect on the way I do my work, because if I'm wrong in something, I'd rather get constructive criticism to help me. You know, if you can reflect on what you're doing wrong, then it's better, isn't it? It's not
Yeah.
about doing something wrong, it's about improving yourself as well. So, you know, it's really, really important that, you know, we reflect, and it's a way that allows us to look at, you know, how we can improve things. And for the future, you know, reflect on things like, you know, maybe we're not working properly, thinking about mistakes that we've made, trying to experience things and trying to reflect on new things and try to identify any sort of new learning. You know, so we'll be saying that, you know, if you reflect on something, maybe using a system within the health and social care setting that identifies all the patients and stuff, and you're not trained, would you ask for training to use that new system?
Yeah. Of
Yeah,
course.
you would, because
Nobody
you're
is above that.
reflecting on it. You're reflecting, saying you can't do that, you need help. So, you know, that's CPD there itself. So now we're looking at 1.1, and it's to look at outlining careers and job roles within the healthcare profession. So, you know, working in the healthcare profession, there's different variety of jobs, okay? Different variety of jobs that you can offer, and different variety of job roles, you know, that are needed as well to help and support people. So there's many jobs within the healthcare profession that cover things like, you know, care worker. It would be things like, you know, personal assistants. You know, there are different elements of it that are available for everyone that could go work there. And there's a need for the different job roles. Why do you think there's a need to have different job roles? Why do you think there's a need? Islamia, why do you think there's a need to have different job roles within the healthcare profession, or within any profession? Why do you think there's a need to have different job roles?
Because that will create room for specialty or professionality in specific areas.
Yeah.
I think so that people have got different needs. They are different needs, so we all can do the same job. Yeah. So that we can have mixed skills.
Yeah, different people have different skills. You know, there's different skills for care workers. There's different skills for personal assistants, social workers, community support outreach workers. Each has their own different skills, and they have different experiences as well. So the qualifications plays a big role, but the skills and the skill set they have in that job role is really important. So it's really important to have different opportunities, different job roles within the health and social care profession, because it identifies what each person does, and they are clear on their job role. So when they have for example, they'll have a contract of employment, that contract of employment will identify their job role. So it's really important they have that job role, because they're able to identify what they need to do with people, or if they're a care worker, as an administrator, things like that. So there's a need to have different job roles within the health and social care setting. So direct care roles. So these are things that are directly work with people who need care. And first one is activities worker. So they are based in care homes usually, and they are in the role is there to motivate people, organize entertainment for them. You know, if it's elderly, try to organize maybe little courses on cooking or things like reading, knitting, things like that. You know, they need to be there to help the actual elderly as well. And they organize activities, external entertainment, organize trips as well, you know, things like going out, lead discussions. You know, they are normally in the post in regards to trying to motivate individuals and, you know, deal with you know, working with them in the activities. Care worker, what do you think a care worker's role is?
Care workers, their major role is to support people on their day-to-day
Yeah.
activities because of their
Is it
deficiency or
just in the house, or could it be in the community or in care homes?
it can be in care home, it can be in the community.
Yeah. So it could be different people, couldn't it? It could be people from different backgrounds, maybe people with learning disabilities, maybe people that have mental health conditions, maybe it may be older people that they're supporting. So it'll be a different variety of people. And do you think you need a lot of experience in the care worker skill? In the job
Yes.
role?
Yeah,
Yes.
in the job role,
Yes.
experience is needed
Yes.
because it's going to make you to understand who your client is very well.
Excellent, excellent. Who are you working with? So it could be, like we said, the elderly. What kind of things should you be aware of? What kind of training maybe you should have?
As a care worker,
Yeah,
like you said earlier, it depends on who you are dealing with.
yes,
For example, if a care worker is dealing with somebody with a learning disability,
yes,
he need to undergo a major mandatory course of care worker.
yes,
You need to have a course on the prevention management of challenging
yes,
behaviors.
yeah. Health and safety, first aid,
Yes,
trying to
safe
move people
guidance.
around.
Yes.
Moving and handling. So if you're moving someone with a disability who's quite heavy, you need to have that training. Autism, communication. If it's an elderly patient, it might be someone that's got dementia. You should have that training. The
Yes.
next one, a direct care role, is a personal assistant, anyone who supports someone, who's there to help them. This could be, again, in their home or outside in the community, and they're employed by the individual themselves. So it's like a one employee, or it's like organizing their personal care, helping individuals to work, things like that. So, again, they need to have the ability to be a good listener, good communicator, and display any sort of skills they have. Rehabilitation worker. When we talk about rehabilitation worker, Victor, what comes to mind when you talk about what's a rehabilitation worker?
Rehabilitation is, to my understanding, when you're trying to heal, when somebody's trying to heal, somebody that helps someone to heal, probably to get back correction, to get back to their normal self, to their real
For
self.
them to help them
A worker that is
back to their
specialized in that
lives.
area.
Yeah. So there could be occupational therapists could work there with them, provide advice, specialist equipment that they may need, in regards to any sort of disability, organizing any sort of sports activities. If they're blind or anything, maybe providing information in Braille for them. If they have any physical disability, it's someone who's there to support the person and provide that advice. Then we've got the next one, which is a shared life carer, and that is someone who is a support service for adults with long-term conditions who live independently. So it could be a variety of people that could be supported. Could be things like an older person living with dementia, a young person in transition from foster care, learning disabilities, mental health, someone who's leaving the hospital. So these kind of people would have that shared lives carers role. You've got then the advocacy. These are direct roles. So advocacy worker. So this is someone who is there to help support people with accessing any sort of services. What kind of services would they help people with?
You said what?
What kind of, an advocacy worker? They're there to help secure people's rights by accessing services and ensuring any sort of support planning. What kind of services may they offer? Things like, what could it be? Things like finance?
That's right. Yeah, finance is one of them, like finance advocate.
Yeah, disability living allowance, maybe care planning.
Yes.
financial planning and hospital admission. So these are people that will help them, try to get their lives back together and, what their wishes are and express their wishes to them. So these are the direct roles. Okay. So then we go on to the element of management roles. Why is there a need for management roles within the health and social care profession or within any profession? Why is there a need for that? Elizabeth, why do you think there's a need for management roles? No, Elizabeth, not on. Olu, why do you think there's a need for management positions?
The essence of management role is to have a proper coordination so that the organization mission statement can be achieved.
Yes. And make sure they run smoothly. The organizations need to run smoothly. Management roles, so there's team leaders. So team leaders.
Sorry, I was mute and I was speaking.
Oh, it's okay. Don't worry. So why is there a need for team leaders?
Of course, for everything to be coordinated on the probably, let me use the word for instance, because I work in a hospital.
Yeah.
So for everything to run smoothly, I think they are the one most of the time that delegate duties to people. You are to allocate, let me use the word, allocate duties to people and ensure that they are properly done.
Yeah. So to make sure they're supporting your manager to run the place, you're like managing and supporting the workers, developing any sort of care plans and working in partnership with other professions. So there's a need for you to, try to supervise and provide a high quality support plan and care in place. Managers, depending on the level of the managers, so it could be someone at a quite a high level. They're there to manage a team of care workers, care service to ensure that the organization is run smoothly and provide a high quality care and support. So they are first line managers such as service managers or maybe residential managers, and they work in the social care setting, including things like maybe working in homes, supported livings in the community, and this oversee the day-to-day running of the day-to-day running of the actual care service. Then we have deputy managers who, again, are ones that lead the care team and manage it and deliver it to a high standards. They support the manager to run the workplace, cover any sort of absences, and help the service through any sort of undertake any care assessments. If they need to comply with legislation as well, ensure that everyone is complying. Why is it so important to comply with legislation? If there's laws in place and policies in place, why do you think it's so important that we comply with them?
Legislators are the legal frameworks to every activity that goes on in any organization. So for us to be legal and be law abiding, legislation is very, very, very important.
Yeah. Has anyone else got anything to add on to that? Why legislation and policies and rules are important?
To keep everyone safe.
To keep everyone safe. Yeah. Was that Jess?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's to keep everyone safe and try to, follow the rules. If you don't follow the rules and requirements, then you're not really keeping everyone safe, but you're also, it is an offence, isn't it? It's an offence that you're breaching the rules and the policies. So you need to make sure that you are following the legislation that is being put in place for you. The next one on a management role is a specialist coordinator who looks at specialist areas, so things like mental health, maybe substance misuse, moving and handling, any sort of specialist in the care home. They are there to ensure everyone has access to care and support. Other roles within the healthcare profession. So we've got other roles that could, whatever your interest, this role is in regards to it. So you've got housing support officer. What would a housing support officer do? What was a housing support officer? If someone's
They're helping, looking out for accommodations or houses for the
So if
vulnerable ones.
it could be if someone's homeless, couldn't it?
Yeah.
It could be, you know, helping them out, supporting them in regard to sheltered accommodation. You know, they need to be, for this role, you need to be a good communicator. You need to be able to listen. You need to be competent, and you need to be looking, do you need to know the law around housing?
Yes.
Yes. You need to know the law around housing, why it's so important, why there's a need. You know, you need to be able to do in risk assessment if someone is vulnerable, if they've got mental health issues. You need to take all this into account as a housing officer. Then you've got a volunteer coordinator, and they're responsible for coordinating all the volunteers, their team of volunteers, and making sure they are good communicators and making sure that they are providing a high quality service, you know, recruiting volunteers, also volunteers try to deliver any sort of programs for volunteers. And we've got the next one is social care prescriber, and that's things to do with non-medical support, such as day centres, charities, any sort of community support. And you've got to be a good listener, you know, and finding anyone with any sort of mental health issues, trying to help them within the community. Welfare rights officer, you know, there's a need to have these jobs whilst working with people with housing, any sort of welfare issues, supporting them around any sort of issues around carers, any sort of implementing any sort of laws and welfares that are in place, benefits. Employment advisor, and that would be things like, you know, trying to help them with any sort of support and maintaining employment, to provide a wide range of people with different specialist skills, you know, trying to help people with disabilities get employment, and, you know, support people to overcome barriers to employment. If there's any sort of discrimination in employment, doing CVs, things like that. Then you have administration roles, which could be things in HR. It could be administrators are there to support the organisation. And then finally, the trainer and assessor. And that is someone who's there to support and design to improve any sort of training provider delivers training to social care employees. What kind of training would they deliver? It could be external organizations. What kind of training things would they deliver?
It can be external, it can also be within the organization.
Yes.
Depending on the training.
It could be, you know, safeguarding. It could be health and safety. It could be employment law. This person would be delivering the training. We've got then regulated roles. We've got social workers who are there to intervene if there's any sort of issues around safeguarding. Do you think social workers play a big role within the health and social care profession?
Yes.
Yes.
Why do you think they play a big role, Jess?
Because they are in charge of keeping vulnerable people safe.
Yeah. They're there to keep vulnerable people safe. So could it be people with learning disabilities?
Yes, and children.
Yeah, children. It could be people with learning disabilities. It could be mental health issues. Anyone suffering from any sort of anxiety, schizophrenia. You know, they're there to, you know, support them, okay, and offer any sort of assessments, and also intervene when maybe examples would be safeguarding, you know, where children are vulnerable, and take them into care. So, you know, they work with the healthcare profession in a big way in regards to that. Occupational therapist, anyone? What's an occupational therapist? Occupational therapist? Are you?
Counselling.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, who was that? Sorry.
Me, Jessie.
Yes, Jessie.
Dealing with mental health.
Yeah. It could be, could it be someone who's there to help someone physically as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, with mobility or using any specialist equipment. For example, if you may have, you know, like someone who can't walk, you know, make sure that you are supporting them, adapting their house, you know, for them to be able to use certain equipment, you know, adaptations, you know, they are there to help with that and try to support that individual if they're independently living alone. Registered nurse, obviously, as it says, it's a nurse who's registered, who promotes health and prevent any sort of ill care. They work with individuals and families to provide any sort of healthcare needs, monitor the quality of healthcare, and they take, working with people and their families to understand their wishes. So they're there to help them. We have nursing associate, who works with people and their families and to prevent any sort of ill health. The next one we've got is a complementary therapist. And that's people that will do things like, that are specialists, things like therapies such as reflexology, massage, aromatherapy, emotional distress. They build that trust relationship with the individual for care and support. They evaluate what therapies they need as an individual. Then you've got a counsellor who is there to support the individual. And counsellors can work in the care profession, health service, community centres. They give the opportunity to talk through feelings, listen to people, and encourage people to cope with any sort of challenges. So these are the regulated professional roles within the health and social care profession. Then we've got the next one, which is ancillary roles. Okay, so these are things like, their roles don't involve direct care, but vital to the running of an organization. So things like, you have a cook or a kitchen assistant who's there to help, in regards to any sort of cooking or cleaning. Then we have the housekeeper. You have a driver who transports people, for example, if they don't have transport, they're able to help them. And then you have people in the maintenance, there's a need for maintenance as well, within a healthcare profession. You need to have maintenance in place because you need to be able to keep the place in check and make sure that it's, it's in a good state for someone to live there, care homes, painter, decorator. So we're moving on to 1.2. So explain progression within a chosen health and social care career area. So, there's many people that dream of any sort of progression. Often when you start a job, you don't plan to work in the role forever, but some instances you do. I mean, for example, me, I've worked in my profession for 17 years in the same job. So, you don't plan to stay in the same job. But in my case, I have stayed in the same job. I'm sure some of you have as well, been in a job for a long, long time. You keep saying you want to move on, but you don't move on. Anyone in that instance? Have you all been in a job for a long, long time?
Yeah, I've been with HMRC for so long, and I really want to move on, but I'm still there.
Yeah. Do you feel part of the furniture then? Like me, I've been there 18 years, and I feel like, oh my God, it's time for me to move on. I think you become comfortable, don't you? So, progression in some, roles is quite good. You can get progression, but in some job opportunities, it's difficult. What kind of skills would you need to identify that you could go and move up in progress to a different role? What kind of skills do you think you need? Sorry?
Reflection.
Yeah. Would you need things like, do you need to be well organized, and do you need to be a people's person?
Yes, and
Yeah.
to be able to manage people.
Yeah. If you want to move, now this is an example here is a registered manager. If you want to move up in the job role and try to get, a registered manager's job, you need to, like you said, you need to be able to you have the qualifications. Okay, firstly, you need to be able to, be understanding. You need to be able to be responsible for ensuring that you're able to run the organization. You're responsible for people. You're responsible for budgets, policies. It's a big responsibility, isn't it? So, you need to be able to make sure that you have that level of qualification, but also you are there, you are committed, and you have experience and qualifications. Again, as a social worker, you need to be able to support vulnerable people. You can't just say that I'm okay for this role. You should have a specialist, you should have this skill that you're able to work with vulnerable people. You're able to, you know, have the qualifications and the experience. So you need to be registered as a social worker. You need to be obviously registered within the role of supporting people vulnerable. You need to be able to make sure that you have the skills as well. What about as a team leader or a supervisor? What kind of skills do you think you need in as a supervisor or a team leader?
Okay, as a team leader,
Yeah.
a team leader needs to have all-encompassing skills and trainings.
Yeah.
Just for example, maybe you have a team leader in a care home. That team leader should have a skills of a support worker.
Yeah.
That team leader should have a skills as a carer, because sometimes you may have a resident that you are
Yes.
just caring for and something just came up all unplanned for. So
Yeah.
a team leader will be able to quickly show whoever that is working that, okay, this is how to go about it. Okay, this is how to de-escalate, and these are the things that how to manage this person, and
Yeah.
it can able to show the light to the people.
Yeah. You need to be able to supervise, don't you? You need to be able to make sure that you're coordinating your team.
Yes.
You know, you need to have that, you know, that in place, and you need to, you know, some people are not very authoritative, but you need to be quite authoritative, you know, and be able to be confident to, you know, run a team. You know, it's very important that, you know, you have that qualification to run a team. You have some sort of management skills, leadership skills, you know, you need them skills in place because you are dealing with people every day. And like you said, you must be able to adapt to any situation where maybe you don't have any staff. You have to, you know, jump into that role. So you need to be organized. You need to be flexible. You need to be able to, you know, be responsible for the people around you. The next role is a nurse.
Could you go back to social worker for a second?
Social worker, yeah.
Thank you. That's good, thank you.
Is that okay, yeah?
Yes.
So these slides and everything are available, okay, Jessie, on Moodle for you. If you've not got access to Moodle, just email learnerwork@ukvarsity.co.uk, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Excellent, don't worry. So nurse, so if you are performing a role of a nurse, what skills do you think you need? Obviously, you need to have your degree in place to be a nurse. You know, you need to hold a degree in nursing, and you need to have experience. Whilst you're doing the degree, you are working on the job anyway. So you should, you know, you are given the experience whilst doing your degree. What do you think your skills you should have as a nurse?
Compassionate.
Compassionate, yeah.
Also,
I think that's really important. Compassionate, working under pressure. Why do you think you need to be able to work under pressure?
Because situations can happen without you knowing.
Yeah.
People
you
can
need
get
to yeah. Situations can happen without you knowing, so you may get something, you know, someone come in and it's an emergency and it's a last minute thing, so you need to be able to work under pressure. You need to be flexible, compassionate, you need empathy, you need to be able to deliver a service that you are entitled to deliver. You know,
to be able to keep in check with your knowledge.
Yeah, your knowledge, because you haven't just become a nurse because you wanted to become a nurse. Obviously you wanted to, but you need the skills, don't you? You need to follow the requirements, the policies, everything in place that you need to follow. You know, so anyone else in regards to having any sort of skills as a nurse, what do you think?
Communication skills.
Sorry, what was that?
Communication skills.
Okay, excellent. Why is that so important?
Because you're able to convey what your residents really want and how you can help them out.
Excellent. Yeah, communication skills is very important.
What
about things like
as well?
What about
being a good team player?
Yeah. What about being resilient? Do you think resilience is important? Because you might get someone coming to the hospital and they are quite challenging. So you need to make sure you're able to handle the situation. You're resilient and, you're adaptable. So no one day is the same. Teamwork is really important as well within this profession. You need to make sure you're working well as a team.
Yes.
The next one is occupational therapist. Again, you need qualifications to be recognized as a occupational therapist. You work with people with their physical needs, and you work with people to create this plan and review it regularly to make sure that they are achieving. So you are planning things for that person. So making sure that they are able to, identify that what they need to do to improve their lives. So there's a need for occupational therapists. A little bit of homework that you can do for later on as well before we go into the next one is look at different career progression. And the link is healthcarecareers.nhs, and that will look at different types of roles and careers within the healthcare profession. So you can just, we can talk a little bit about that more tomorrow when we do the learning outcome 2. Going on to 1.3, analyze skills and knowledge required for specific role in health and social care. So we've looked at skills and knowledge. We've looked at the importance of skills, why they're so important, and looked at why there's a need to have these skills in place. So when we look at empathy, why is there need to be empathetic? Why do you think it's so important to be empathetic?
So that your client trusts you.
Yeah. So there's an issue of trust as well. You're pulling that client or the patient towards you, so you need to have that trust. What about flexibility? And we talked about flexibility. As a nurse, there'll be times where, you have to be flexible, because no one day is the same. It will all change. So you have to have this flexibility on your working time, your adaptability. Team player. Why is it essential to be a team player?
Because it will help you to coordinate whoever is working for you, if you know how really to bring them on board.
Yes, it's really important to work as a team. And I think some people don't like working as a team, but I think it's really important because you're able to bounce off each other, but yet work together as well. Dealing with pressure. Why do you think that's so important? And that happens in the healthcare profession. Dealing with pressure.
When you're dealing with pressure, because most times in the hospital or whatever, there are emergencies that come in that we're not planned for.
Yeah.
The ability to be able to get along, deal with the situation at hand, and be able to work with so many people at once. A lot of patients will need your attention. Ability to work under that pressure to go there and see to their safety and their health is important for any nurse.
Yes. So, you need, dealing with pressure is a big part of the healthcare profession. Communication skills. So this is really important when interacting with any sort of patients, families, colleagues. Communication skills are crucial. It's like, you may face challenging circumstances at times, when speaking to patients about their families or about patients' health. You need to be really diligent on how you communicate important details about patients' health to the parents or the family. So communication is really, really important because it requires you to listen closely to their problems and respond. Communication is required not just in the healthcare profession, but in any profession. Communication is a huge part of that profession. Communicating with service users, with their families to ensure that, the person gets any sort of best care in places for that individual. So strong work ethics. Again, this is really important. When you're working in a team or working together, you need to make sure you have strong work ethics. Positive mental attitude. Why is it important to have a positive mental attitude? Even if you're not feeling positive, why do you think it's so important?
So if you have a patient in that's feeling bad mental health, your mental health doesn't affect them.
Yeah. Should you put yours aside?
Yes, for the
Yes.
patient, you should.
Yes, you should when you're in the profession. Time management, again, important. There's different ways, priorities, so manage your time effectively. Self-confidence is another one where nobody wants to think that they are cared for by novice. So, you need to make sure you have self-confidence in your work. If you're not confident in your work, are people going to think you're doing things right?
No.
No, you need to make sure you have that confidence in the work you're doing. Okay. And finally, dealing with criticism. Why is it important to deal with criticism? And I think people don't like dealing with criticism, but why do you think it's so important?
So that you can improve.
Yeah. So that you can improve, so that you can help individuals with daily activities properly, and that you can, improve yourself. If you need any sort of training, anything like that, you could improve yourself. So it's really important to deal with criticism. Okay. So personal development and skills required. So you've got personal development skills that are required when you deal with issues. Okay. So personal development is really important. It's a lifelong process. It is for people to assess their skills and qualities, consider any sort of aims in life and set goals in order to realize and maximize their potential. So it's really important. It could start at any time in your life. It could be at the start, when you go to school. It could be in your job. There are many, areas of personal development, that you need to be able to identify, and you need to, have in place, because, will a personal development plan help you identify any sort of future aspirations for yourself? What do you think? Do you think a
Yes.
personal development plan will give you a personal vision of what you want to do?
Yes, because the essence of personal development is personal transformation, which will help a personal leadership. So
Yes.
it will help you in the future, because
Yeah.
you are learning and you are
Yeah.
relearning and you are unlearning some things by the virtue of what you
Yes.
are exposed to.
Yeah. And you have these objectives that you put in place, you identify your SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and
True.
they identify areas for improvement. So, you have to try to put your personal development in place, but it's a good idea to write down your developments and identify how you would reflect on them in the future. It's good to have a log in place, a learning log or a reflective practice. To identify if there's any sort of areas for improvement, because we're not all perfect, are we? I mean, I don't think I am. I think there's areas for improvement for everyone. And I think you need to be able to, evaluate these areas, and refer to, how you would develop your personal vision, what you want to do in a few months, what you want to do in a year's time. Does any of you, for example, I mean, any of you online, does anyone try to put a personal development plan in place, or even write it down what you want to do, or even have thoughts of what you want to do in the future? Have a
Yes.
vision. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Why do you think it's so good to have a clear vision?
Oh, it makes you to achieve what you intend to achieve, your goals.
Yes. And it's really good, because you aim for the good goals, don't you? You aim for them goals. So personal development and skills required. Why is active listening so important? Active listening.
So that you can learn
Okay.
from people who are telling you things, and so that you can listen to your patients and find out what they need from you.
Yeah. Active listening is not just, it just doesn't involve not only hearing words, but also receiving them, like you said, interpreting and responding. An active listener plays a big role, and to a person speaking to them. So if someone's speaking to you, Jess, and your body language says that you're not listening, are you an active listener?
No.
No.
Because your body language, your face, you could be looking in different places. That doesn't mean that you're a good listener, do you? You're not taking on board what they're saying.
Yeah, and if you do that to a patient, they're not going to feel heard.
No. And anyone else got, why do you think active learning is so important within the health and social care profession?
So you won't be redundant.
Yeah. What about if,
Then the
sorry, I
same thing.
can't hear you, Elizabeth. What did you say?
Policy change every day.
Keep repeating the same thing over and over.
Yes.
You advance.
Now, it's important because policies change every day, new laws, new legislation, and stuff.
Yes.
The ability to always learn and relearn will keep
Yes.
you in check and will keep you on top of the game.
Yeah, keep up to date. If you're not actively listening and if you're not conscious at the same time, you know, you need to be keeping up to date as well. So it's really important. The next one we've got is conflict management. What is that? What do you think conflict management is?
As a team leader, our ability to really escalate issues within your team members, is what makes you a leader. So when you have a conflict management skills, it will help you to really achieve your goals and to be able to build up very well.
Yeah. So is communication, again, we're going back, is communication a big part of poor communication, a big part of conflict management?
Yes.
Yes. Having poor communication is sometimes the main element of conflict management. You know, often people, not what they say, but the way they say it as well, you know, personality clashes, you know, where people bring their personality, power differences, you know, the hierarchy, that could cause problems. You know, someone may think I'm better than you. Organizational problems can be a conflict. What else can be a conflict?
Team members can have issues by not just trying to understand a line of information that being passed across to each other.
Yes. What about your workload? Would that have a big impact?
Yeah, due to the situations, some people will feel cheated. Some people might do more than others, you know.
Yeah.
So it's ability to balance it and ensure that everybody does a fair amount of job of duties.
It could be like even like things like conflict management could be the stress and fatigue that you're going through as well. You know, these are parts of conflict management. The next personal development and skills required is dealing with challenging behavior. Why do you think that's so important? And this is really upsetting for everyone within the healthcare profession because, you know, you have difficult behavior, attitude, you know, you need to be able to work with people that have challenging behavior. Why do you think it's so important?
Like I said earlier, as a team leader, as a manager, one of the skills you should have is how to deal with the challenging behavior, because sometimes it's not planned for as a kind of resident you have. So when you are able to undergo a kind of some trainings and you are being exposed to some challenging issues and you are able to have a very good result from it, so it's a skills that will build you up in the course line of your job.
To be able to stay calm when someone's a patient is challenging, because in that situation you're the person of power and you've got to keep them safe and not react to their challenging behavior.
Would you think that communication plays a big part in challenging behavior as well, Jess?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're listening to someone and you're understanding them, does the behavior calm down a little bit?
Down.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, challenging behavior plays a big part in any sort of profession. Health and social care, you know, you should be able to build this rapport with that individual, you know, distract their attention, you know, be able to, you know, instead of them getting angry, try to make it into, you know, a little bit of a humor. You know, people go through all sorts in life, you know, and dealing with people with challenging behavior is not, it's not a good thing. It's just how they've been brought up, you know. So, you know, it is important to take time and reflect on the support that you would offer that individual, you know, and try to, has anyone been in a challenging, dealing with challenging behavior? Has anyone been in that kind of situation?
Yes, I volunteer in a school in in a class with people with disabilities, and they can be very challenging.
They can't they? Yeah, it can be very challenging. And you know, it's difficult, isn't it? It's tiring as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not an easy job to work with people with you know, disabilities, because it could be quite challenging, and they could be, you know, violent, but it's not in their control.
No.
And the next one, which just goes on from what you said, personal development and skills required working with disabilities. Why do you think it's so important to be able to work with people with disabilities? Why do you think it's a challenging, do you think communicating with them people at a different level is adequate? Do you think there's a need to communicate at different levels with people with disabilities?
Yeah.
Why do you think it's so important?
Because a person who struggles with language and communication might not feel heard and might not feel like they can get their needs met.
Yeah.
But if you can do that for them, it might improve their quality of life.
Yeah, it could be people, for example, not just with language needs, it could be people who are autistic or ADHD, you know, allowing them more time to do things. You know, they may have more questions. You know, an autistic person may want more questions. It may be annoying, you know, for you, but you need to be able to have that skill. You know, if you want to work with people with disabilities, you know, you need to have that skill, and you need to be able to understand them. You need to be, what kind of skills do you need to work with people with disabilities?
Patience.
Patience is a big one, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, what else? Anyone else got anything?
Empathy.
Empathy. Why do you think empathy is such a big role element of it? Oops.
Because I think it would allow you to put yourself in the individual's shoes to be able to understand them.
Empathy. Do you need to have knowledge of their disability as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Why do you need to have knowledge of that, who you're working with in regards to their disability?
Because it's going to, if you have the knowledge of their disability, it's going to let you know, it's going to help you to know the kind of skills you are going to approach to them.
Yeah.
It's just, for example, you have somebody with disability that he needs a control of a violent situation sometimes. So if you don't have a knowledge of it, you are not going to know the area you are going to come in.
Yeah. Patience, understanding, emotional intelligence. These are elements that you need to have in place, because you need to be able to provide them for the individual. You need to be there to support that individual. And like you said, everyone has different needs. So if you're not able to communicate this and not able to provide them needs, then it's going to be difficult. Okay, so, sorry, I've gone over time a little bit. But we've finished learning outcome 1. Okay. Just a summary of what we've done. We've looked at career areas in health and social care, access points for careers. What kind of careers did we look at? Anyone? Do you remember? Yeah, what else? What other careers did we look at? Looked at nurses, social workers, roles and responsibilities in health and social care, progression from a manager, what kind of qualifications they need, the degrees, skills and knowledge for specific roles, what they need, and meeting the skill and knowledge requirements. So we looked at active listening skills, dealing with challenging behavior, working with disabilities, and conflict management. These are the references we've used for today's learning outcomes. So you could refer to these, and the links, you could link to that and go on to that straight away, and that would help you. Has anyone got any questions?
Does it matter what order you do the units?
What do you mean, what order we do the units?
So I've just joined the course and we've just done unit 6.
I think it doesn't matter, because your assessments would be done for each unit separately.
Okay, that's fine.
And the unit is different in its own way. So like, this is personal professional development, this is different. So then each unit is different, but you'll have learning outcomes for every unit, and also you'll have the assignment discussion towards the end. So there is a link with the units, but it doesn't really make a difference.
Which order? Thank you. That's all I needed to know.
Okay, no. Any questions anyone else got? If you are not on Moodle, email learnerwork@ukvarsity.co.uk, which I've got there on the plenary. Any ebooks, any sort of these research, these slides are available on Moodle for you. The recording will be available on Moodle for you. Any ebooks, any additional reading will all be available on Moodle for you. And submission of the assignment has to be done at learnerwork@ukvarsity.co.uk, and that's 2 weeks after you've done the unit itself. So you've got 4 learning outcomes. So the next learning outcome will be tomorrow, which is at 11 o'clock. Has anyone got any questions before we finish off learning outcome 1 today?
So you said the assignment will be 2 weeks after the completion of the whole.
Yes.
So, and each module have each assignment, right?
Each unit has each assignment.
Each unit.
Yes.
So what is the assignment for today's unit?
What is the what, sorry?
The assignment for today's unit.
The assignment brief is on Moodle, okay? You could have a look at that, but towards the end of it, we will go through the assignment brief, which is the 5th session. So we've got 2, today's session, tomorrow's session,
yes.
Session next weekend, and then the Saturday after is the assignment discussion session, okay?
Okay.
And then we'll go through the assignment, what is expected of you, where you can find it, what you need to put in, how you need to structure it. So we'll go through all that with you, okay?
Okay.
Excellent. Has anyone got any other questions before we finish today's session? No? No? Has anyone got anything else? No? Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to finish the session off now. If you've got any questions, email learnerwork@ukvarsity.co.uk or ask me tomorrow, okay, if you've got any questions or anything. And it was lovely meeting you all, and I'll see you tomorrow at 11 o'clock.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.